After exciting day of SPL, we have some more SCC action. I'm Fuzzy Wuzzy. Joined with me is Alpha Jackal. And Alpha, we've got a great set coming at them. It's Elysium versus Snake Hunters, the number 1 seed versus the number 4 seed.
Yeah, Snake Hunters have had a mixed season so far down in the SCC, found some success against some of the teams above them, but have also stumbled a bit more often than not against teams that they really should be taking games off. So I'm looking at them here. This is their chance to keep their top 3 hopes alive and avoid that playoff match going into the end of split finals. Don't forget, if they finish 4th, they have to play against the first in SOC to determine who gets that 4th and final spot. If they finish 3rd, they skip that match and go straight into the finals.
Well, and this match would definitely help that case if they are able to pick that up. Then they won't have to worry too much about the SOC team. But the SOC teams, they have been playing really effectively. I know on the NA side, there have been some great plays. And on the EU side, it's not any different, I can imagine. So we're just waiting to get into the game and picks and bans here. But AJ, once we get into picks and bans, this Elysium roster, they got number 1, right? We kind of know that. Snake Hunters need this set win. They have to have this set win. So what can they do to stop this number 1 seed?
So they have to get this set win, and then they also have to win next week, and then hope that results go their way between the Pandemonium and Accounting Department matchup. Because of the head-to-heads that they have there, I believe that they are 0-2 against Accounting Department. They might be 1-1 against Pandemonium, so they have to hope that Accounting Department win that matchup, go into that tiebreaker against Pandemonium, will come out on top of that. But that's all for the future. Now their focus is getting on this set, and to win this set, gotta get a hold of Trix Tank, I feel. He's been the linchpin for this Elysium roster. He has been the focal point for the most part. Get him off to Sobek. He has been playing this god every single time it's available. Just ban it away from him.
Well, the bans are coming out. Chiron and Osiris, a little bit of surprise there. And there's that Sobek ban that you wanted to see, AJ. Not too surprising there. And the TM out as well, not surprising. The Chiron ban, he's seen a lot of resurgence lately with this new meta that came out with the Blue Stone and Athena being the final ban for Elysium. So this Chiron ban being so much to the table, why wouldn't Elysium want to have him?
They're worried that maybe something more valuable would come up, and then Snake Hunters would just be able to take it themselves. Don't forget, Gilgamesh is still available, the Cucullin was still on the table, King Arthur 2 is up, and if Snake Hunters get to the final banning phase, and the Chiron's still up, they could just go, well, we'll leave the Scylla open, maybe bait them into the Scylla, we can get the Cucullin, we can get this Chiron ourselves, and then we're in a much better position to play through the duo lane.
Well, you called Gilgamesh, AJ, and there it is, locked in, and Heimdallr will be the lock-in for the carry lane for the Snake Hunters. Cucullin being locked in for the solo lane, another top solo lane pick for the Elysium squad, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see something. There's still Ymir available, Anhur is still available, and as I mentioned, he just gets locked in for the carry role. So Anhur, Heimdallr, it's going to be interesting to see with the Anhur nerf that came out recently. It might seem to be a little bit of a what we can do in that sort of lane. And Giannis, have seen a lot of Giannis lately, but not so much in the SPL phase. So with this Giannis pickup, they're definitely going to get a lot of global pressure around. And AJ, I think Elysium just kind of want to play this around the global.
They want to definitely put the pressure on early, win the team fights in an instant, and maybe look to play around some objectives in the early game. But if this new one does get locked in, that objective gameplay is going to be quite difficult, because they're just going to have I'm agreeing with you. This is a very early Nuwa pickup here from Snake Hunters. There's 2 options here. They have 2 very random picks that they feel like the Nuwa is the most likely to get banned. Right. Or this is a strategy that Snake Hunters have run scrims against Elysium a couple weeks ago, have found success with it, and then they realized that the Nuwa was the linchpin, and Elysium were going to ban it in the second phase. Those are the 2 scenarios where you see the Nuwa picked up here.
It's got to be, right? I mean, as we see the Ganesha and the Terra being banned out, Elysium have elected to ban out the Serket just to get out this jungler and the Kali. The new wall has to be something that we're not used to, because we have seen in the past Snake Hunters get that new wall banned from them. okay, AJ, if this gets locked in, I have way too many question marks. I can't even think about what Snake Hunter is even doing. Jormungandr, the World Serpent, someone we haven't seen in so long. Okay, yeah, both of our minds are blown, AJ. What is the possibility of this Jormungandr maybe being a support rather than a solo laner? Because Gilgamesh is locked in. That could be the solo still flexing in the jungle.
I mean, Gilgamesh has to be the jungle, and they can't have picked Jormungandr in the solo lane against Cucullin. It's Cucullin's best. It's Cucullin's best matchup. It's basically saying, "Oh, you want the Cucullin to be in rage form 24/7 because
Yeah.
Jormungandr each breath will tick one stack of rage for the Cucullin. Ratatasker, some sense of normality. That's going to go into the solo lane for Ratatasker, so Jormungandr support this.
Okay.
This entire roster is just dive. Like, you have Gilgamesh, Heimdall, Nuwa, Jormungandr. It's all just ignore absolutely everybody. Just find this on her and kill him instantly. Same thing with Yanis. And the Tsukuyomi jungle could be on the hit list as well, but by the time all the ultimates are expended, I don't think on her and Yanis are surviving.
Well, we are going to go into this first game between Elysium and Snake Hunters, see if those question marks can actually get answered from the side of Snake Hunters. And AJ, once we are getting into this game, it just seems so weird to me. Like, look at this. Like, God, they put the Jormungandr in the solo lane. What is? And Silenced is playing the Gilgamesh as the support. Like, I don't understand what's happening. This is just, hey, Elysium, take this set from us. We want to play the SO seed. We want the 4th seed. We already know that you guys got the 1st seed. I just don't understand.
Yeah, this is just. I don't know, the teleport early as well, probably going to be backing up for a Warrior's Axe and full boots as well. Has to be the power boots just to try and get some form of pressure in this lane against Terrorim. Again, Terrorim's just going to be in rage form for the most part of this game, so that's another bluestone tick that he's going to have to worry about. There is the Hog as well to help him clear out a little bit faster. That's one of the advantages of Jormungandr, though, is the fact that he will be able to secure his blue buff time and time again as a Guardian. That's one of the advantages that you sort of have. One of your abilities will pretty much secure it 24/7. But then again, like you said, this roster has so many question marks of it in terms of the draft, not because of the gods that they picked, but where they placed them.
Yeah, it's just so bizarre to me that they're actually putting this in, Spudio, Vaporish Coast. This is a matchup that we've seen time and time again, and we've always seen it kind of go back and forth between the two, with Spudio actually taking the win overall as Vaporish Coast does get the thunder on him, as Spudio trying to jump in, and Vaporish Coast able to push away the jump from Spudio, so great little heads-up play from Vaporish Coast, but I still don't understand this. I feel like this Jormungandr would have been better in I Silence's hands in the support role, just to get a little bit more pressure on the Fafnir, but I also think that the Pretty Prime on this new wall, it's not a question mark to me, because I feel like that we've seen Pretty Prime excel on new wall in the past. I can't quite remember the exact games that it came out, but especially with this full dive comp that they have, once anyone is in within 100 health or 200 health, and Nuwa just goes up into the air, it's all over for the rest of the game.
Well, Nuwa is that one god that is just basically, no, stop, get off me, you don't want to dive me. Because of just the threat, the Clay Soldier explosion, the mid lane is going to see that happen right there. But a little bit of damage right now, more damage coming out later on, especially once Nuwa gets maximum levels on that shiny metal and those Clay Soldiers. They shred a lot of magical protection, by the way. When that charge hits you, I think it's something ridiculous like 70 magical protections just stripped from you right away. It's the most penetration you will find on any single ability.
I Silenced is still just hanging around this duo lane, trying to see if maybe he can set up a drop kick, but it's just so bizarre to me to see a Gilgamesh in support, AJ. I really don't understand how this would work. In my mind, the only way it works is that they are truly going for a full, I'm going to dive on everybody comp, and everybody has to be full committed to that. And it includes Pretty Prime, it includes Vaporish Coast. You have to get your backline within the front line, and they have to be front line as well. Is that what they're going to try to do, just to try to get Silence to say, everybody's coming with me?
Yeah, that is going to be the play 24/7, and given that, I would like to have seen a Chernobog over this Heimdall. Heimdall does have good heal for himself, has good vision around the team fight to be able to call and help the team identify where and when they should be engaging, but the Chernobog will just dive in that backline a lot better than the Heimdall will, and then just able to support that Nuwa a little bit better.
Definitely help. that will definitely help the new wall being more supported, just because once Pretty Prime kind of gets online, gets that level 5 mark, it will definitely help with being able to show play damage all around, as Eye Silence is going to get pushed into this wall. We've talked about Spudio before. He's one of the better ADCs when it comes down to this, but Vaporish Coast and Spudio, you have the Penta Kid versus someone who is so consistent in this duo lane with Spudio. It's going to be interesting to see who comes up on, and speaking of interesting, here comes Adapting onto the left-hand side, as Eye Silence is going to get absolutely obliterated. Spudio picking up first blood. Vaporish Coast not going to be able to get stunned out, but didn't take a lot of damage even though he went through that Bifrost. Rapio is in the jungle, maybe seeing if he could try to get something here, but instead he likes to buy his Acorn. Making sure that he gets a little bit of time so he doesn't have to back up right away, but big win for the side of Elysium.
Yeah, first blood goes away. If the Thistlethorn Acorn has been picked up by Ratatasker, allowing him more stun capability on the Acorn Blast. Gets 5 Acorns rather than 3, so very easy to hit ability now. Gives him a lot more control over these fights from a bit more of a distance, which could help set up for this new one, could help set up for Vaporish Coast if he looks to gank. Terram just going into rage form yet again. If we just pan away from the solo lane and then come back at any random point, you'll see him in this form.
It just seems like no matter where he's at, he's always going to be in rage form, right? And that's just because of what Jormungandr does with the puddles, and not only that, but the breath, like his auto attacks and everything. It seems like we can just kind of ignore the solo lane side. We know Terram will eventually win that lane. It's not going to be a question of if, it's a matter of when. And we do know that Kha'Zix, even though he does have a slight level lead over this over Terram, we know that Terram is actually way more going to be present into these team fights, because what does Kha'Zix bring other than just the World Serpent? And that's it. I think I just answered my question. It's a World Serpent.
Yeah, it's chase capability onto Angry. Is one of the reasons I would have picked this. Angry on this Yana is very slippery, very difficult to lock down. If you're going to have the Ratatasker and the Jormungandr searching for him in the jungle, he's going to be found out, he's going to be caught, and then the Nuwa just to help aid that search a little bit more. This is a composition that shuts down Janus. This composition that makes sure that Janus can't find a way out of these fights. So the fight will always be brought to him. And shutting down that mobility and making sure that you can exploit the fact that Janus does have the worst win rate in ranked, you can look to exploit that. You can look to exploit that loss rate.
Hey, that's what they're trying to do, is hope to exploit something. The Eye Silence and Trick Tanks have found each other in the jungle, but not really going to do too much with it. Just going to throw a hammer out and be like, I don't want to drop kick today. I really don't want to get sent over across the map. But Eye Silence is making a small rotation to this left-hand side, maybe seeing if he can catch out Spudio. But Spudio does recognize him on that Vision Shard, so won't be able to push up too much. But it seems like more of the focus for the Snake Hunters and the Elysium squad need to be around this mid lane. I think whoever shuts down Angry or Pretty Prime first is definitely going to have the advantage over it, especially if Pretty Prime gets ahead. Because once Pretty Prime gets ahead and he starts able to hit that new wall ultimate for 500 damage every time he presses the 4 key, that's just free damage.
Yeah, and Adapting's going to be building into a full glass cannon build. Angry and Spudio definitely will be picking up defense. I mean, you might see Angry picking up some defense later on if it gets to that stage where Kha'Zix Prime are just doing too much, or maybe even Rappi on Vaporish Coast are doing too much. Angry is one of the mid laners out there that does elect to build its defense if he knows he needs it for survivability. But it is going to get to the point where Prime is going to be the top player damage in the game, and it's not going to be anywhere close.
Yeah, that's just going to be how it is. It's how it always is. But as we took a look at player damage now, it does actually kind of look like Spudio was at the top part of that form, even though he hasn't been boxing as much. It just seems like that he's able to throw out some damage. But Trick Tank actually going to be able to hit up Pretty Prime. He's going to go into his form. Through space and time will connect with the Pretty Prime. Here comes the ultimate. Rapio's going to ult as well. He's going to try to see if he can collapse something. Eye Silence is getting targeted out, but he will beads and leap away. Trick Tank will still get it with the peel. Adapting's trying to find Pretty Prime. He will find Pretty Prime, but it won't matter because Rapio will pick him up under the tower, even though he transported all the way to Pretty Prime. Kha'Zix has made the rotation. He's going to try to see if he can collapse onto Trick's Tank, but he will elect to hold on to that ultimate, not trying to get onto Trick's Tank because he's under the tower. A 1-for-1 trade, jungler for support. Kind of a win for Snake Hunters there, AJ.
A little bit more of a win for Snake Hunters than it is for Elysium. Rapio needs to make more of an advantage of it, though, by taking away some of this neutral farm. It looks like he's going to be able to do that very easily. Goes over Helder, picks up the red buff as well for Pretty Prime. Though, like you said, overall, a win for the Snake Hunters. They find themselves a bit more footing in this game and close that gap that Elysium built up with that first blood.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to do if you're this 4th seed. You want to make sure that you can at least get something out of this. Obviously, game wins can help. They can help with the morale and kind of help the boost, but we've seen how Elysium play angry. When they play angry, they play very upset, AJ. It's not even a question of if it's when am I going to die, because they just W key the entire time. And neutral objectives seem to be the name of the game for Elysium. They've been kind of trying to control this left-hand side oracles. Silence is almost got controlled himself as he's able to leap around away from the portal that Angry was able to place up. So neutral camps are the objective. Whoever can control those seems like they're controlling the game. And right now, with Elysium having this gold lead over Snake Hunters, it's just really the first blood and the kill that they got. It's nothing too crazy, but it can slowly start to snowball if they control these neutral objectives.
Yeah, neutral objectives are where you will start to find leads more often than not. Invades are nice, but eventually you're not going to be able to invade again. It is a slow style of burn. The mid objectives of those harpies as well as the oracles, they'll spawn a bit more often. Well, the oracles won't, but the mid harpies will. And definitely you're able to start building up more and more of a lead if you take them. And if you do start to take away the Gorp and the 4th from the opposition, invade onto those a bit more often, that is a huge loss of potential for them, especially if you're able to get it onto the right-hand side, because that enhanced blue buff is something that Solinas really do want to have. It's something that is really beneficial to them.
Yeah, it is really beneficial as well. Some more cooldown as well, but the Pyromancer is about to spawn, and there's a little grouping over on that right-hand side in the mid lane. We see Pretty Prime, Kha'Zix, and Rapio just trying to see if maybe they can find something, but instead they just get the neutral Harpies and walk away. Kha'Zix seems to be making a lot more of these rotations without really having anything coming out of it. It seems he's just kind of there to be present. Is that what you want to do as you're a soul laner? And just Silence just got absolutely obliterated by an unstable vortex. Through space and time will not connect onto anybody. He will be able to get away, but with Kha'Zix able to do just kind of be present, is that what you want to do when you're Jormungandr, just be around?
You want to instill fear into the opposition backline. You want to make sure that you can go onto them and then they have no chance of returning damage on you because you're under the ground, because you're in that World Serpent ultimate. Meanwhile, if you are Terrorum, your job is to disrupt, is to damage, and to kill. Kha'Zix is there for disruption, Terrorum's there for them. He's there for the money, he's there for the blood.
Rapio got one of his buffs at least, as Terram has made a rotation over. Pretty Prime not able to get the stun off, and did get a little bit of damage with that ability, so Terram will be coming in just a little bit weak, but he did pop a health pot, so it's not going to be too bad. As Kha'Zix is going to take this totem for himself, but recognizing that he's all alone, there are 2 members on Kha'Zix, as Kha'Zix is going to go into the World Serpent just to see if he can secure his own blue buff. He was able to do so, but Rapio now is getting absolutely dove on by Trix Tank and Terram, as great peel from Kha'Zix in this World Serpent to keep everybody off. Adapting has made his rotation to see if he can zone out Kha'Zix from taking away this blue buff, because as you mentioned, this blue buff is very important, but Silence is here. Silence is a little bit lower. He's going to try to get away. He throws out the ultimate. Looks like Adapting is able to get away. Kha'Zix has no ultimate to get out of. Trix Tank is deforming. Terram will throw out his ultimate just to get some more peel. No one gets the blue buff for the Snake Hunters, and Elysium have a successful defense over a blue buff they had no rights of their own.
Silence just about picks it up in the very end of the engagement, so they did have somebody take it, but it's not the ideal target that has that blue buff around them. So again, another win for Elysium. Kha'Zix has to be more careful in lane with his mana usage, especially without any, well, I say without any MP5. He's got a lost artifact right now, or a stored artifact. Sorry, this is not a common item in the solo lane.
It really isn't, and the Celestial Legion helm as well. They were talking about it on the desk today with this pickup when the Soul actually had a Celestial Legion helm. You know, gives a little bit of power, gives a little bit of physical protection as well. But it's just an interesting pickup overall, because to me it just gives Jormungandr a little bit tankier. You know, normally we would see like a Stone of Binding or something like that, just because of the knock-up damage that can happen in the slow that's in the spit. So the Celestial Legion helm gives him a little bit of tankier. Is there any sort of other benefits that come out of this Celestial Legion helm?
It means that for the initial engagement on the Onher and on when he's looking to go on Adapting, he is just that little bit tankier. Mm-hmm. On the initial push into Phoenixes, he's going to be a little bit tankier than you would expect him to be. And he also gives him a lot of magical power behind it, so he is more threatening on the kill front. It just all depends what he builds into with this item. Does he go into a Chronos Pendant? It certainly would make the most sense out of the 3 options available.
Chronos Pendant just to give a little bit more cooldown would make a little bit more sense. Rapio is around this left-hand side to see if he can collapse on the Spuddy of Porsche Coast, trying to get the bait out the jump, and he does bait it out. He baits out the ultimate as well. Here comes the rat coming crashing down onto Spuddio, and Rapio will pick it up. A great bait from Porsche Coast, and that will be the death of that carry. As they're going to be able to get a lot of pressure now on this left-hand side. Now that Porsche Coast has a assist to his name, he's able to get a little bit more farm. He's able to get some neutrals. He's able to push a wave up. This is kind of big for Porsche Coast because we know that the Pentakid, when he starts roaming around, he's got the name Pentakid for a reason.
And it's good as well because Rapio's the one that picks up the kill, puts him at 2-0. Rapio, one of these heavy momentum-based players. If he's got the ball rolling in his court, he will keep rolling and be one of the most threatening junglers on the map. If he's behind, if he's a bit reserved, a bit locked down, he is one of the least impactful junglers that you will see in the SCC. So having him with this 2-0 and giving him this momentum-based pick as well of this Ratatasker makes a lot of sense for this team if he can start to utilize the fact that he is ahead.
Well, Snake Hunters, even though there was a Giannis and Terram over there on the right-hand side, they were able to get that Pyromancer, but at what cost? Silent falls immediately, just getting absolutely blown up by Adapting and the rest of the squad. That was some damage I don't think I've ever seen before, AJ, but I also take a look at Silent's build, and he's 0-3. He doesn't have a whole lot of Gauntlet of Thieves stack, AJ. He's just kind of floating around. No wonder he's going to just get absolutely obliterated.
No, that was execution if I've ever seen one, and now going on to the gold here, Trickstank has transformed. They mean business. They're looking to take this objective, and without Isolites to come in here to tank it up for them, Elysium very riskily do take it. They back off for free. A big win for them that could potentially blow the game wide open.
Could blow the game wide open. We did see the gold chart earlier go down in Snake Hunter's favor, so if we take a look right back, you'll see that it goes right back up in the exact same fashion in Snake Hunter's favor. But a Gold Fury at 15 minutes in helps a little bit more than a Pyromancer. Not a whole lot, but a little bit because of that gold scaling as Gold Fury happens. So AJ, taking a look at this right-hand side, that tower is about to fall for Snake Hunters, which means that Terram is about to have a free pass to roam about around the map. And when Terram roams about the map, that's scary. That's scary of itself. And so once you get that World Serpent to be able to catch up to him, that might balance everything out. But do you think that that Terram on this Kukulkan is going to have more of an impact than Kha'Zix on this Jormungandr?
I feel like he's got the better opportunity to have more of an impact. Kha'Zix has to chase away a Giannis, and that's almost impossible. And then Onher has got some mobility thanks to his leap, has some CC immunity thanks to the Desert Fury, has good turnaround potential onto the Jormungandr. Granted, can't CC the Jormungandr because of that immovable passive, means the Impale is only really going to be used as a slowdown potential rather than a stun. It is a decent matchup for the Jormungandr in that regard, but I'm having a look at Terram on this Kukulkan, and I'm just thinking, I don't want to face that. No matter what mage in ADC I'm playing, I really don't want to face that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to face it either, and as production was pointing out, that is a Chronos Pendant that got locked up for Kha'Zix. You absolutely called it, AJ, and that will help out that cooldown a little bit more as he's starting to go into the staff tree, trying to see maybe he can get a little bit tankier. But yeah, Terram, once he gets this, I would assume is going to be a Pridwin online with some more cooldown. He's already got that mystical male rush coming out. It seems like that once he start rotating around, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. As Trickstank gets drop kicked into the face of Pretty Prime. Pretty Prime did pop the beads. Trickstank getting stunned out. Not going to really have anything to do with it, as Through Space and Time doesn't connect onto anybody, so therefore, Pretty Prime will go up into the air, just see where everybody's at, get some damage across the map. Rapio is up in the air as well. Trickstank had to deform. Trickstank might actually fall. He's going to leap away, or at least try to, as here comes Jormungandr, but Rapio is on a killing spree, and he will clean it up.
That's a great play from the entirety of Snake Hunters there. Trickstank overextending just a little bit like he usually does. He does go aggressive quite often, so good recognition from Snake Hunters to allow him to dive a bit further into the spider's web and then collapse onto him once that ultimate of his was down.
It seems like that's the Pretty Prime MO, right? Play into the tier 2. No matter if the tier 1's up, just play into the tier 2. Oh, my team's not here. Crap. What do I do? And now I'm dead. And that's just what he does, and he's done it very effectively. So Snake Hunter's recognizing that, hey, as you mentioned, he's coming into our spiderweb. He's coming into our trap. Now we've got him. And not only that, we've got him, and the kill went to Rapio. who is already now 3-0-0 in this game, and he's a level ahead of Adapting, who is on a Tsukiyomi, and we know how Tsukiyomis can run games. This is a great win for Snake Hunters. Even though the gold lead says a little bit otherwise, I still think this could be Snake Hunters' game to lose.
It certainly feels like the momentum is balanced on a knife edge right now. Elysium, they are the ones engaging most of the fights and most of the skirmishes that we do see, but Snake Hunters are definitely prepared to answer back, and they definitely are going toe-to-toe here with Elysium, which is refreshing to see. Teams that have come up against Elysium in the past, they have either struggled to come up against, Prime just takes a huge amount of damage there early on.
Yeah, he took it from through space and time as he goes up into the ultimate, try to do some more damage on Trickstake. Kha'Zix has used the TP to come into the mid lane. Rapio is in the back, trying to see if maybe he can get something to help out Pretty Prime, but nothing really comes from it. A couple of big ultimates expended and a big relic expended for Kha'Zix on this teleport. So pings are coming out. Spudio has made the rotation from the left-hand side of the map, and Porsche Coast is right behind it. They are all grouped up here, waiting for the Caltraps to be expended, and now it looks like Rapio as the target. Terram is going to be on top of him. But now look at this. It's going to be Kha'Zix going into the World Serpent. Trickstank has a little bit less than half health. He's going to go up into the Dragon form. He's going to come crashing back down. Spudio trying to find something, but Terram will find one. Kha'Zix will find Angry, his main target. And now Adapting is all alone as Kha'Zix gets a double kill. Spudio gets Rapio on alone, and now Spudio is out without a paddle. He popped the Aegis, but it won't matter. The dropkick will clean it up. Silence takes the other one.
Good dive there from Snake Hunters, and it was led by Kha'Zix. We were doubting this Jormungandr pick earlier on. We said it wasn't going to do well into Terram's Colin, wasn't going to be too impactful into team fights. He's proved every single one of those points wrong so far with this unorthodox build of his. And now the Ethereal Staff just to boot to give him some more health once he dives in and strip away some of that health from the targets. It is a great option here for Snake Hunters. It's been so effective for them. Elysium don't have the answer to it.
They don't have the answer to it, and they couldn't clean up anything for that. So Pyromancer in a tier 1 tower in the mid will fall for the side of Snake Hunters, as Pridwin is the option that Terram go into. And we really are focused on this solo lane matchup, because it seems like that whoever wins this solo lane kind of dictates the way the team goes. We did see that Rapio started a really big snowball lead. In fact, he's been a part of every single kill that the Snake Hunters have, so we can't neglect him at all. But once the solo laners kind of get introduced into this idea of, hey, this is a team fight now, it's going to be down between who's got the better solo laner, Terram or Kha'Zix. And in my mind, it screams Terram all the way with Colin. But Kha'Zix, just like you said, it proved again wrong that this Jormungandr pick can do something. He found the Giannis. He found the target that he was looking for.
So a good fight there from the Snake Hunters. It just depends on whether the fights continue to go that way or whether Elysium, in their vast experience and leadership, figure that out, make some adjustments for the next team fight, and look out for Rapio's ultimate, look out for Kha'Zix, or maybe even just go on to Pretty Prime a bit more readily for that fight. Just one of the 3 keys in this cog, just take one of them away and see if the rest of the machine still functions.
Primal Fury seems to be the next point of contention, as it is now down to half health. Terram is around the corner, and so is Trickstank, as the ultimate comes out from Silence, drop kicking everybody into it. Trickstank goes up into his ultimate. Pretty Prime going up as well, but it looks like that Adapting is really weak, but Spudio falls in the back because of Rapio. Trickstank not going to be soon to follow, as Vapor's Coast will pick him up. 2 for 0, make that 3 for 0. Silence has been on Adapting all day long. Terram can now only take the portals that Angry Way gave him at the very start of this fight. That's a big win for the Snake Hunters. 3 for the price of none, and a Primal Fury to boot.
Great team fight there again for the Snake Hunters. The split from Elysium just didn't make too much sense to me there. They want to be able to dive as a unit with Adapting and Terram onto the backline, but having to full defend on that engage, having to full defend Angry and Spudio still falls towards the tail end of that engagement. Angry just about lives through the rest of it. Kha'Zix and Rapio are just too dangerous for them to handle. It's going to get even worse for them. Level 20 Rapio is now finishing up as Protector of the Jungle. It's going to be an absolute different beast to deal with now that he's got that item.
Well, Rapio goes up into his ultimate just to see if anybody was around, but this Fire Giant is pretty much free for the Snake Hunters as it does fall. Terram can't really contest anything about it, so now it looks like this push on this right-hand side seems to be called now that they've got these minions here. So pushing down this right-hand side is the Snake Hunters' call. Do you think they just push up to Phoenix, or do they push up to the tier 2, back away, maybe even go take out over on the left-hand side and take those 2 towers down as well?
The options here would either be push down Phoenix if the rest of Elysium have a back to defend it, or just go towards the mid tier 2, then left tier 1 and 2. take those out as well, just to maximize your gold. Looks like they're now going to push it up to the Phoenix and force it back from Spudio. Just happy with taking down the towers and losing a tier 1 in trade.
Oh, tier 1, tier 2 fall on the right-hand side. Tier 1 will fall on the left-hand side in favor of Elysium for the price of 3 towers now, but we got some minions pushed up there, so that'll help stop this push just a little bit longer. But with a Fire Giant, and you've got Kha'Zix and iSilence, who are both pre-tanky targets, I don't think it's going to matter too much, but they are going to look like maybe pushing down this minions to try to get some more farms, see if anything's available. iSilence is around, but the carries are all back there. They just kind of want to clear this wave by themselves.
Looks like it's just going to be the tanks pushing down to the tower. They'll get it eventually. We'll check back with them again about 5 minutes time.
5 minutes?
See if
Yeah, 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, look, 5 minutes is pretty much passed, and it's going to be the tower at its last legs here. Rapio coming to help it out. He doesn't even get there in time. Kha'Zix, with the powers that he's got in his build, able to take down the tower quite effectively. iSilence as a basic attack-focused warrior certainly will have a bit more luck with his better auto-attack chain than something like a Shark. I did an Nemean Lion as a pickup here.
Hey, I'm okay with it. I've had a couple of friends that are supports of mine that say they like Nemean over Spectral. Now Spectral gives them a great passive, but they like Nemean over the fact that you can get some block stacks out of that, AJ.
No, I love the pickup here. I tell you what, he's up against Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi is a assassin, but has this capability of being almost like a pseudo-hunter in terms of that he's got these range basics. If you have these 2 block stacks on you, Tsukuyomi's range basics are nullified completely, meaning he has to get close to you to do damage. And when he gets close to you, what do? Drop kick him away. This completely nullifies the ability for Tsukuyomi to go onto this Gilgamesh.
Yeah, it's like a 600 IQ play, it seems like, from iSilence. We were doubting this from the second they loaded in. We were like, oh, that's going in the jungle. Oh, that's going in the solo. Oh, that's being support Gilgamesh. All right, yeah, we'll see. We'll see that's at the end of the game when they inevitably lose. And he's just mind-baggled me, AJ. It's like he picked up an item that I haven't seen in so long, and you just pointed out the fact that this just stops Spudio, it stops adapting, and it even stops Terror at some points.
Let's see whether Elysium are going to be finding a way around this, around this build, around this puzzle that has baffled them so far for the past 25 minutes. The Snake Hunters look to push onto their first Phoenix. Minions are in, but they're the new one. Minions factor protections will not get removed, and in goes the winds from iSilence just to create some room and potentially get the Phoenix.
Trix tank got stunned out, but Tarim knocked up 4 people. Desert Fury comes out through space and time, will connect onto iSilence and Vapor's Coast. Vapor's Coast at half health, adapting is going to throw out his ultimate. Kha'Zix going up into the World Serpent, but I don't know if it'll matter. Vapor's Coast will follow Spudio. That's going to be 1 for the carry. Adapting still in the back, but Pretty Prime will pick him up. Trix tank and the rest of the squad here underneath the Phoenix. So 1-for-1 trade, carry for jungler. Definitely favors Elysium in my opinion, AJ, just because of the fact that was Vapor's Coast, that was the Pentakid, that was their damage to the Phoenix that just got absolutely obliterated.
Have no Phoenix to be able to take it on because of this full commit from Elysium to take down that one target. 1-for-1 trade, definitely going to be happy with the fact that they managed to hold that off. Now it's just a case of pushing up into the jungle, getting some much needed farm to get back into this game. It's not about the experience at this point, it's about the gold. 2 levels down is Trix tank, but that's the only level discrepancy with everybody else being at level 20, and just seeing whether they can finish off some of their items. Very interesting to see that iSilenced as the Gilgamesh elected to go into the Compassion as a traditional support would, rather than going into something like the Animosity, just to make himself a little bit more scary.
27 minutes into the match. 9,000, a little bit over 9,000 is the gold difference for the Snake Hunters. Kha'Zix just going to sit there at the blue buff, waiting for the red buff to wear off because he wants it, as he does pick it up in the end. So I'm looking at this, AJ. Fire Giant just wore off. We don't see an enhanced Fire Giant coming up for another 3 minutes. Do you fight at Elysium, or does Elysium fight inside of this Fire Giant pit? I don't think they do, because they haven't won necessarily in any of these fights, especially since Rapio has that Protector of the Jungle. It just seems like it's almost a lose-lose situation if Elysium fighting the Fire Giant. Just wait and do a Phoenix defense like you just successfully did.
They could look to do that. They could also look to try and steal it with Angry using its through space and time, but the fight's already kicked off, and Adapting has to use this ult defensively.
Kha'Zix going up as well to the World Serpent, and Rapio just absolutely obliterates Adapting. So now he will pick up the jungler, and so Trix tank had to go into the transformation. Great stun comes out from Pretty Prime. Tarim's trying to get onto iSilence. He's going to dash into Spudio. He's going to push away the dropkick. Angry Spree's gonna portal away, but a blink comes out. Trixtank now is the target. Trixtank's gonna be stuck here in a bit. He tries to leap away, but it won't matter too much as the through space of time just narrowly misses everybody. Blink comes out from Rapio. Rapio will pick up the unofficial double. He's on a killing spree. 2 for the price of none. This mid Phoenix is now their next target. With everybody up on the side of Snake Hunters, this will probably fall very quickly.
Yeah, that is going to fall down.
Wait, they're pushing the right side because the minions. They've got so many more minions on this right-hand side. This Phoenix will fall a lot faster. They got minions on that side. So that will actually happen. And now they're going to push back and retreat toward this Fire Giant, AJ. And at 28 minutes, that Fire Giant's going to be enhanced in roughly at 1.5 minutes. Do you think they wait just a little bit long, try to bait some more people?
Oh, it's a bait. It's a fight. It's a
fight.
fight
It's a
they're
bait.
looking for.
Here it comes. Rapio comes right back, crashing in. He is little or no health, but they Forge Coast will pick up Spudio. Angry will fall because Kha'Zix is on the killing spree. Rapio is in the back trying to get away from Tarim, but he gets absolutely obliterated, but Rapio does fall in the end. Tarim's Pridwin won't last long. They Forge Coast picks up the double kill. Not at the side because Adapting has come back. Trixtank is going to come back in 3 seconds. He's getting slowed. He's using the ultimate to try to get away from all this damage. Trixtank is trying to get in, see if he can help out his jungler. No Hammerstone will come out. 4 against 2, 4 against the world. Adapting and Trixtank trying to see if they can find out anybody. Ice Silence will get the beads out of Adapting. Kha'Zix will knock him right back up. He will stun him out, but the Titan is focusing currently on Silence. He's doing so much damage. Trixtank getting stunned out. That Titan is looking a little bit weak. Kha'Zix is going up. He's just defending as best he can. It looks like the Titan will inevitably fall, AJ. It's so close. Trixtank trying his best, but it won't matter. Snake Hunters will pick up game 1.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one here from Snake Hunters as they finally put a stop to the Elysium Juggernaut train. But it's just one game. Elysium can still come back and win this set and continue on their charge to a 9-1 finish here in Europe.
Well, it just seemed to me that Elysium had no idea what was going on. They seemed to be like us, just completely baffled at the comp alone. And then we comes up to it, and sure enough, hey, we're gonna be good about this. And because we have nothing to worry about because they don't know what's going on, Snake Hunter just kind of ran at him. Kha'Zix surprising me. 3-0-9 on this Jormungandr solo, who built Divine Ruin. The only defense item that I truly see out of this is the Celestial Legion Helm, and AJ, that just scares me half to death a little bit.
I mean, that's kind of what you just do as a Jormungandr. You go in there, you need to be able to do damage to be threatening, which is why we have sort of seen a shift away from him as solo laners go almost a full tank mode these days, but sitting 16,600 player damage right there. Second highest on his team, put in a fantastic performance, and it begs the question, do you ban the Jormungandr away? I don't think you do, but then he plays it again and they get the 2-0 because you don't know what to do against it. It's very confusing, but you trust in what Elysium wants to do, which is what we'll find out in the second set of picks and bans.
Yeah, so we will go up to a quick break. Will Elysium answer those questions that the Snake Hunters have thrown at them? We'll be back after this break.
I can feel this tide choke my neck and I just wonder why I'm buried in a suit I'd never buy, a suit I'd never buy. Cufflinks on my wrist, I can't act surprised when the shovels hit dirt in the earth. Did they start to cry?
Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 between Elysium and Snake Hunters. I'm Fuzzy Wuzzy. Still with me is AJ. And Alpha, I got to talk about it. Elysium had a lot of mistakes. We've seen time and time again how much they've proven to be the #1 seed continuously and how they have just dominated the EU SCC team. And Snake Hunters, the #4 seed, just capitalized on those mistakes and ended up with that W.
Yeah, the fights were a bit disjointed from them. I mean, the early game, it still looked good for them. It still looked well. They had that cohesion. They had the idea of just picking on this Gilgamesh support. But the second Kha'Zix started to rotate to some of these fights, and the second all the pieces of Exodia were together, they had zero answer for it.
Yeah, Kha'Zix just seemed to be the question mark on everybody's mind, ourselves included. And I silence as well in the Gilgamesh support as we do jump into picks and bans. We're going to see if Snake Hunters do something a little bit unorthodox like they did in game number 1. Elysium have elected to go into that first pick, even though they did get the loss. So I have to say, AJ, I'm with you. I think you just have to ban the Jormungandr here because Kha'Zix kind of just ran the match here, but instead they like to ban Vapor's Coast Heimdall. Still a good ban in my opinion, just because Vapor's Coast has gotten a pentakill this season with the Heimdall in this split.
I mean, yes, it also allowed them to dictate jungle fights a bit better because of their extended vision, but to the same point, it's the safety that this is very big respect to Snake Hunters here.
I was about to say.
If I'm Snake Hunters at this point, I'm laughing, saying, okay, we really got him last game. We just do something similar. We got him on the ropes this time. So, wow, this is unprecedented. 2 respect bans here from Elysium. We could see 3 for 3 with that Jormungandr taken off the table as well, but that leaves open a whole host of picks.
Well, and that's the question, right? With Snake Hunters, what did they leave open? Sobek Tiamat not going to be on that list. If I'm Elysium here, go for the 3 for 3. Get rid of Kha'Zix Jormungandr. Just go for it. It was such a big question, but it does leave the Gilgamesh open. But no, they like to ban out the Athena because they don't want it for themselves. Interesting enough, because Trix Tank has a really great Athena, and because Athena has elevated into the top 5 for supports, in my opinion, it seems like that it would be a good idea to have onto them, but instead they like to ban it, and then Snake Hunters in response ban out the Scylla. So this does leave open the Gilgamesh and the Chiron still open for Elysium.
I would imagine it's going to be a Chiron first pick here from Elysium. No, it's actually going to be the Osiris. Okay, so Cucullin was the choice last time. It's going to be switching over to the Osiris here for Terrorim. Just trying to match that sort of start that the Jormungandr did last game. And with the fact that they banned out the Heimdall and the Nuwa, I'm okay with the fact that it didn't ban out the Jormungandr, mainly because they've got rid of 2 pieces that made the Jormungandr pick that much more deadly and that much more available to them in the later stages of the game. But it just allowed them to dive too heavily. So Jormungandr no longer going to be an option here for Snake Hunters, I imagine.
Well, Chiron and Giannis will be locked in for Snake Hunters. A little bit more orthodox than we saw in game 1. As Elysium pick up the Chernobog and the Kumbhakarna. Another aggressive pick, but here it comes. No. Lock it in, Kha'Zix. We want this Jormungandr bad, baby. You threw it for him once. You're going to give it to him again. Jormungandr gets locked in for the Snake Hunters in that solo lane. And AJ, the hands are up. We just got to say, this Jormungandr pick, it's going to be a great one.
No, I put my hands up saying that I thought the Jormungandr pick was going to be locked out by the fact that the Nuwa and the Heimdall were taken off the table. Apparently, I'm wrong. They've just got the other gods that will allow them, albeit a bit more difficult for them to control the team fights. The Yana snipe not confirmed like the Nuwa damages. The Chiron a bit better than the Heimdall at reaching the back line, I would say. So you've done a little bit of a trade, shifted it to be a bit more neutral between the 2 of them rather than heavy-handed onto the Nuwa. I like the Radtasco ban, just get rid of some of that dive. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like a Thor or a Thanatos ban away as well, considering Rapio likes to play those picks, and it would aid the dive of the Jormungandr as well.
Well, what's interesting is the fact that Rapio played the Rat, right? So out of the 5 gods that were played for Snake Hunters in game 1, 3 of them have been banned out. And on top of that, Serket is the next one that's going to be banned out. And Morrigan and Cucullin on the Snake Hunter side will get locked out, so none of those are available for the mid lane. Scylla also being out of there. So 4 mid laners banned out for Snake Hunters. They don't want Angry to really play anything, but Gilgamesh still left open. Is this going to be the return of the I Silence Gilgamesh support?
It worked out last game, even though it got picked off a fair bit. It just created space rather than looking for kill potential, which is what Gilgamesh can do if the rest of your team has the ability to follow up and threaten damage, which is what the Jormungandr pick does do. So the Gilgamesh could wind up in a support role as well, but it could go down to Rapio instead in the jungle. So a good flex pick to round out their draft here from Snake Hunters, meaning they could keep their options open.
The God's pools have been widened a little bit more. Merlin will be locked in, and Camazotz for adapting in that jungle. Camazotz is someone that we haven't seen a whole lot in the jungle, so we're going to see what Snake Hunters respond with, as the Ravana is going to be Hubbard right now. And I kind of like this Ravana pickup. Get some more dive in. It seems like the Snake Hunters do really well with dive. Why not get a Gilgamesh, a Ravana, a Jormungandr, a Chiron, and a Giannis to round it all out? You talk about dive after dive after dive. I think that's just what Snake Hunters think Elysium can't handle.
Yeah, it's a decent pick. Can go toe-to-toe with the Camazotz in the early game. Can dive onto the Merlin quite freely, avoid the Kumbhakana mesmerize with that overhead kick. So certainly has options here from the Raven to get aggressive. Just, it's not going to feel the same like the Ratatasker from the last game.
Well, we are ready to jump into game number 2 between the two Titans, Elysium and Snake Hunters. And we're going to see again if this happens, and it is for sure, AJ. iSilence still going to be piloting this Gilgamesh. And AJ, with that, I don't know, man. I'm looking at it again, and, you know, I had the question marks in game 1. All I have are exclamation marks for game 2. I don't know how Elysium are going to respond to this. They picked up Merlin, which will help a little bit with the burn and making sure that he has a little bit of self-peel with that flicker. But with Trix Tank having to play something a little bit more peely like this Kumbhakarna, who has the mez and the overhead smash, and just get somebody out of a fight. If Kha'Zix just stands in front of Trix Tank just for a split second when he hits that epic uppercut, nothing happens. Just the entire ability is gone.
However, what you're failing to see is the fact that in pretty much every single season past, in every single set, when it's been in a bind, when Trix Tank's team needed him to step up, it's been this Kumbhakana. Apart from back in like Season 0 when he picked a Sun Wukong support at the launch tournament, for those of you who don't remember that all the way back then, it's just been a huge pick for Trix Tank and the teams that have been around him. So look out for him to have much more of an impact in this game than he did in the last one.
Well, Spudio already had to pop the beats. He gets knocked back with the giddy up. Vaporish Coast. See ya! iSilence will pick up first blood. Unfortunate that it involved to Vaporish Coast for that, but huge win for Snake Hunters. iSilence picking up that first blood.
And that's the power of Chiron. He just does so much damage. That dash, that giddy up is a monumental amount of disruption, damage, and just overall raw power. Whilst you're charging, you do gain extra power for your basic attacks that you are firing, so just able to whittle them down even faster. Spudio, beats used early on, still dies. The first one loses his purple buff. Vaporish Coast and iSilence off to a dream start here.
And not only that, but it just seems like that Vaporish Coast perfectly timed the beads for Spudio, because those beads did fall when the stun actually came out for iSilence hitting that drop kick on the minion. So then he waited, and then he just dashed onto him, and that's when the rope kickback happens on that giddy up, and able to secure that as Adapting just casually walks into a portal, casually walks into some damage that Rapio's throwing out. But Adapting throwing out some damage of his own, so Rapio's gonna have to backflip away, but it seems like that the trade all went in Adapting, or all went into, into Rapio's favor.
So Rapio versus Adapting, that's a matchup that depends heavily on whether the Vampire Bats connect onto Rapio during his overhead kick or not. If they do, then that's a huge damage loss for Adapting, and Rapio should be able to take the 1v1. If Adapting does hit those Vampire Bats with that overhead kick down, then you are looking at Adapting to just single-handedly win the 1v1 thanks to the sustain and the damage that ability provides.
Well, Kha'Zix and Tarum. The matchup that we were talking about in Game 1 seems to be kind of a stalemate yet again in Game 2. We're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with these two. Whoever starts rotating and has the higher impact first. And we saw that Kha'Zix had a little bit more of an impact in Game 1, so will he be able to answer that and get a higher impact in Game 2? Vaporish Coast taking a little bit of poke from Trix Tank and Spudio, but Adapting is wrapping around the background, trying to see if he can get something, and iSilence and Vaporish Coast spotted it out. Saving the giddy up. Here comes the blink. The mez comes out. Vaporish Coast gets the giddy up. The drop kick happens. Trix Tank taking a lot of damage, but Adapting's gonna get knocked back into his carry. Vaporish Coast taking a little bit more damage, but Adapting not able to follow up with any more damage. So Vaporish Coast doesn't fall, doesn't lose any relics either. In fact, looks like it's pretty good for the side of Snake Hunters with a blink that came out from this Adapting.
Yeah, Survive the Gank gets one relic for naught for themselves. Adapting doesn't get any form of experience or gold for coming over here. Just 3-man splits the Scorpion, and 3-man splits a bit of that wave. So good advantage all around for Snake Hunters there as they find themselves 1,000 gold lead 3.5 minutes in. This is the type of lead we've expected Elysium to have, not a Snake Hunters.
And this is what we're used to, is we were saying Elysium's got a 1k lead. This is when it starts getting snowball. as they blink, dropkick comes out, and they steal the purple buff, AJ. Porsche Coast is able to pick it up through space and time. Won't necessarily connect on anybody, but hey, maybe trying to see if they can get somebody out of it. Pretty Prime, unable to connect on any snipe, but they get that purple buff, and this just shows that Porsche Coast and iSilence, they have so much control over this left-hand side of the map, AJ. If you're adapting, do you even try to go over there?
Well, what's the other options? Go over to Cossacks? Nah, you don't go over to Cossacks.
That's scary. Yeah, that's scary too. I think you just have to try to, push Angry into a better position as well. But even still, that's Giannis. What can adapting do, AJ? It seems like this rides on adapting more than anybody else.
Well, to be fair, with the way Terrum's handled this lane, you could make a rotations over to Cossacks. Cossacks is sitting at about half health most of the time. The poke from Terrum's been quite strong, especially considering he has got the tank boots. It's surprising to see just how much damage he's put onto Cossacks. Or maybe you just come over here, just farm up for as much as possible and bank on that mid game for the rest of your team. Say, right, well, we're not going to be able to get anything done until we have ultimates online, until we start to have these rotations from the supports and from the mid laners. So let's just aim for that and stall the game out until then.
The supports are starting to make their rotations as Gilgamesh was able to get one of those items for the passive. He got the round shield, which will help a little bit with the physical damage, so might help out with that as they've got so much pressure in this mid lane, AJ, that it seems to me that whoever kind of has the more ability to rotate into the side lanes to help out either their solo laner or their hunter in that left-hand side is going to be the ultimate advantage. But with this 3v3, in my mind, AJ, the 3v3 goes to Snake Hunters.
I mean, I think it can do as well. The 3v3 could go the way of Elysium if they get their combos off correctly, but it is a bit more execution-based. It is a bit more... I'd say it's a bit more luck-based on their end. Do they have the correct transformations? Do they engage whilst Angry still has his transformation ability up? Meanwhile, for Snake Hunters, just... Is Pretty Prime available? Yes. Is Rapio available? Yes. Okay, we can win this.
Well, and what's also going to help, too, is the fact that they do have a world champion on their team, a two-time world champion on the sake of adapting. So execution, I don't necessarily think is going to be a problem for them, but it is all about timing. And when will the timing actually come into fruition is going to be the question, as you mentioned, Angry. Just trying to get some farm, trying to get up into that level as we take a look at the gold lead. It's starting to tick away towards Elysium a little bit. It's not 1,000 gold anymore. It's closer to 600 now. So Elysium slowly keeping that back in their favor, and that might help them in this later game.
Getting the neutral farm, getting the Totem of Coups, apart from that last one that Cossacks did manage to take, has certainly helped the team out. Adapting, being able to take down the Greater Scorpion by himself. And something interesting to note, he's got the Ninja Tabi rather than the Warrior Tabi that we sometimes do see from the Camazotz. Could be going in for a bit more of a basic attack focus build here. Could be going in for some crit later on, question mark, who knows? That is certainly the...
Crit Camazotz, huh?
Yeah, that is the flavor in ranked. At least it definitely was before the crits items did get nerfed slightly. You just saw every single jungler, no matter who they were building crit. Darchi, they were building crit. Fenrir, they were building crit. Camazotz, they were building crit, just because of how powerful it was. Now that it's been nerfed slightly, we might just see it being a regular basic attack-based focus build, or he's just getting it just to try and help box out a bit more in the early game.
Adapting. Was wrapping around the corner to see if maybe he can get iSilence out of position, but iSilence did have that leap to get away, so not going to take too much damage for it, but was able to get Angry's transformation, so they have to wait just a little bit more to get any sort of pressure. And this really does seem to fall on Angry's transformations, right, AJ? Because as you mentioned, it's that timing that has to come out of it. If he's able to have that transformation online and transform from like ice form into flames or ice form into that arcane stage, that will help out some of this damage, maybe even get them a secure kill, as Tarum is going to take a little bit of damage from this Jormungandr. And it just, to me, AJ, it seems like they're just waiting so much for this. And if you're passively waiting for these abilities to come up, that to me screams Elysium's going to lose this all day long because Snake Hunters have the advantage.
Vaporishko's looking for a bit of a different path for the invade there, and spots out Trix Tank, where he otherwise might not have been spotted. Adapting over here as well on the rotation. They want to defend this purple buff. It's been invaded too often, but look who's here already. Prime and Rapio are here. Spudio has already gone into the sky just to get away from Vaporishko's damage. Angry's made it through. This is a 4-man split on purple buff, just to defend it from being invaded.
Well, it was defended, and Spudio was able to pick it up, but almost at what cost? Trix Tank is now running away. As Blink comes out, he's going to get hit with the drop kick. He's going to hit the Epic Uppercut. That will connect. The Mez will too. And now he's going to go into the Sleep Time passive. Rapia will pick up that kill. 2 kills for Snake Hunters. Silence able to dash away from the amount of damage that just came out. And now this Gorp is being pinged out. And this is free all for Snake Hunters. This is definitely helping their case.
Oh, they're not going to pick it up, though. A bit worried about the health bars and chase potential. They don't have the ward coverage that they would like, so just playing it a bit safe here. But against Elysium, you have to balance out the playing safe versus playing for time. Because if you stall out the game too long, if the game goes on for too much, you will eventually start to come up against them in an even setting, and their experience can start to shine through in that 5 versus 5.
5 versus 5 is what Elysium want to get into. They do have some pretty great team fights if they're synergizing well together. We didn't see it in game 1, AJ, but we have seen it in the past as Terram able to effectively steal some buffs away from the side of Snake Hunters. And when Terram gets to this level 13, level 14 mark, and he's got a little bit more poke on this tower on the right-hand side, he's going to have to bring something to the table that he wasn't able to bring in game 1. He's going to have to hit these ultimates with Lord of the Afterlife. He's going to have to be very effective into these fights. Who does he collapse on? Does he collapse on Vaporish Coast, or does he collapse on Pretty Prime? Like, who does he jump onto? Who is his target?
I would say that his target has to try and be Vaporish Coast. Get rid of this Chiron damage because it becomes unbearable at this stage of the game. He's got his Transcendence online, so we'll start to stack that up. But that initial power spike from his Transcendence is going to be going to the Assy next. It is excruciating how much damage his ultimate do. So if you can make that Centaurus be used defensively rather than aggressively, it is a big swing in terms of damage for the team fight. It's almost 1,000 damage gone.
Well, as we mentioned, they were pinging the Gorp earlier, the Snake Hunters were, but Elysium are the ones that pick it up, so that gives them a little bit of advantage when it comes to the buffs, and it helps them out in the gold case as well. That gold lead that was at 1.1 thousand, AJ, is slowly trickling down. Now it's pretty much dead even at 200, 300-ish.
And the experience difference is actually the exact opposite side of the gold difference. Snake Hunters hold the gold, Elysium hold the experience, only just. So we are looking at an even game here, despite the fact that Snake Hunters have that 2-kill lead, which speaks to the fact that Elysium are farming better. The longer this game goes, the better for Elysium, and the Rapio could be caught out. In fact, he is gone.
He got absolutely deleted. Terram picks him up as the through space of time doesn't quite connect on anybody, but Adapting is out in the background, trying to see if he can collapse onto Pretty Prime maybe as the things come out. As he blinks into the tower, he gets the bat out of hell. 1 swipe, 2 won't do it, and 3 will have to get him out, but Pretty Prime is waiting with the unstable vortex, will not connect. But look who dives in again, it's Trix Tank. He's taking so much damage, the Centaurus will pick it up. Vaporish Coast is able to pick up that kill. 1-for-1 trade, no one really in favor of, except, in my opinion, it would fall more into the Elysium side because they lost their support for the jungler.
Definitely falls into Elysium's favor. They stop some of the nonsense that was going on. They play aggressive and they get rewarded for playing aggressive. Trix Tank almost gets out, just needs to avoid that final snipe for the Centaurus. Unfortunately, Vaporish Coast, the Pentakid, he doesn't miss out often, and when he does, he corrects it on that 3rd and final shot. Spudio unable to take away the oracles, just a bit too much presence there coming from Ice Silence. Worried about the fact that Prime was in the background as well. Angry, gonna go here for... Wow, that was a very fortunate timing from him, given the fact that Ice Silence just basically ran away a little bit there. But he has to give them up still, because 3 people in mid lane spells disaster if you're caught out. Yeah,
he was almost caught out, and so he was able to flicker away, and those oracles drop to the Snake Hunters, and it looks like the P buff falls to the Snake Hunters as well. So control to the neutral objectives falls in favor again of Snake Hunters just for the time being. Elysium still have a small gold lead, but a bigger XP lead. I take a look specifically at the solo lane, a 2-level difference between Terram and Kha'Zix, and this is what we wanted to see out of Terram in game 1, and now we're finally seeing it at a game 2.
Yeah, just bullying the other solo laner, start to make rotations 2 levels up and start to harass the jungler. This is how you play solo lane. This is what you want to do as a solo laner. You're ahead of your opponent, rotate into the jungle of your opponents, and start bullying the jungler. Start making the jungler's life misery. Give him nothing to farm, give him no quarter, no qualm. And maybe your team comes over to help you evade the blue buff as well, because their jungler's so far behind. If you're behind as a solo laner, try and stay in lane, farm up a bit more. Maybe look for a couple of invades and a couple of rotations for each jungler if possible, but the main point is staying alive and staying in lane to farm.
Well, the pings are coming out for both teams trying to figure out who they're going to collapse on. Angry was the one that was pinged, and then Adapting, recognizing that he might be able to get the Gorp himself, as he does some damage to Rapio. Trix Tank trying to dash around and see if he can help out his jungler. The jump does come out onto Eye Silence. Eye Silence does not connect the drop kick because Adapting jumped over it. When we were talking about mechanics earlier, this is exactly what we were happening. Through space and time will not connect onto anybody. Eye Silence able to get away. Looks like actually Spudio made the rotation all the way from left-hand side with that ultimate. Kha'Zix's going to be the target now, but he's going to go into the World Serpent. Nothing to fear. The World Serpent is here. The Scorpion was the one that started up with Trix tanking. They're still going to strip away everything in this jungle, Adapting and Terram, because why not? They just got a really big team fight win.
Oh, I thought Adapting, does he have his blink up? He does have his blink up. I thought he was going to go aggressive there on Rapio, given that he did see the overhead kick get used. He knows he can force out the Mystic Rush at the absolute worst and get a kill at absolute best there. But just electing to hold onto that trigger, knows that the invade that they got and the win that they got in that fight, however slim, was worth more than his life.
Well, Spudio made the rotation over, but didn't really have anything come out of it. Vapor's Coast now has so much pressure on this left-hand side that he's going to be able to get this purple buff pretty handily when you have Rapio and Eye Silence around the corner. But making the rotation is Trix Tank, but they didn't pick up the purple buff. They actually didn't quite get over it. So he's going to just leave it to be down there as the minions are pretty much almost took that tower themselves, AJ. And that once that left-hand tower falls, this gives Vapor's Coast more time to free roam, gives him more time to level up. He is level 15 at 15 minutes into the game. He's just about to finish that Aussie, and once he gets that done, that life steal will definitely help him out. But Spudio can make faster rotations with that ultimate. It just seems that who is going to make the bigger impact in this, because Spudio hasn't really done too much except slow people with his ultimate.
My guess would be that the second this tower goes down to the left, Vaporish Coast starts to rotate towards the right-hand side of the map with his team, starts to group up there, and maybe look to take down the Pyromancer, could rotate back into the left-hand side to take the Fire Giant. All of me while Spudio just stays in this lane, stays up farming, pushes down to tier 1, maybe gets a tier 2 as well, and ults into fights then when he's absolutely needed. That is the power of having something like the Chernobog and the Apollo. You can stay in lane and farm and still be impactful in the team fights because of your rotational prowess.
Well, Adapting's going to start up the Pyromancer, and because he went into the auto-attack build that you mentioned, he got a Crusher and a Stone-Cutting Sword out of it. So Angry's just here to throw out some more damage to help him out. Elysium sneak a Pyromancer. Only really just 2 people doing it, and that's the 2 people that you want to do it. So Elysium now, they were down about 1,000 gold, now almost have a 2,000 gold lead in their favor, AJ. This Gold Fury is going to be the next point of contention, as Terram just casually gets the blue buff yet again, has been casually invading this entire time. It's kind of like what the casters at the SPL said. It's like, you know, hey, we want to, it's not how many invades you get, it's what you can do with the invade, and really, truly, Terram has just made sure that Kha'Zix cannot level up. He's got a 2-level lead over his counterpart.
He's also made sure that Rapio's got less sources to farm. Does mean that Rapio has more opportunities to gank and impact in fights, but with the way Elysium are playing right now is they're not giving him an opportunity to use that Mystic Rush aggressively or use that Blink aggressively. And Vapor's Coast looking for a 1v1 against Spudio. Should be able to find good damage here. Spudio actually goes to the ult because Trix Tank is here, resets his cooldowns by going up into the sky, comes back down, but the rest of the squadron is here for Snake Hunters.
What a great Aegis and Bees that came out of Vapor's Coast. Perfect timing for that, and the rest of the squad has shown up for Snake Hunters just to help out their Pentakid, and they will get away. So they lose a couple of relics. They lose a Blink and, you know, some Aegis and some beads, but that's really it. And they lose a couple of ultimates. They lose the Blink out of the Kumba. They lose the Aegis out of this Kurtanos, and that's it. I mean, a few ultimates here and there kind of got expended, but those come back pretty quick. AJ, in my opinion, keeping Vapor's Coast alive was the name of the game, and they were able to successfully do that.
It was 2 ultimates expended there from Elysium. I thought they had the kill in the bag, but great relic usage from Vapor's Coast. Holds on to the Aegis until he knows his team can rotate around to help him, and they do just that. Unfortunately, a couple more ultimates expended than Snake Hunters would have liked. They did use it through space and time, and the Gilgamesh ultimate just to save their hunter. On the flip side, Trix Tank Spudio, they use beads. The Aegis was used earlier by Spudio just to try and help him box out against Vaporish Coast. So overall, win for Snake Hunters.
Well, the Soul Laners have started making their presence known on this left-hand side, even though towers have not fallen. Adapting is on the right-hand side, though, making sure that he takes that right-hand side tower, so that tower will inevitably fall. Giannis is over on the right-hand side as well, so if they recognize this, Elysium can technically start up this Gold Fury, but that ultimate is available for Pretty Prime to use. They're just gonna make sure that they just have presence here, and that's all they want to see is. And honestly, I don't know if I'm anybody and I just see Tarim staring at me with an Osiris, I'm kind of running away. But Adapting is trying to run away for his life through some jungle camps. But the blink comes out for Rapio. He's gonna try to collapse on Adapting. The Bat of Hell expended. He's gonna try to swipe away. Rapio does have that ultimate available. Pops the blink and the dash to get away even further. So Adapting having to burn a lot to get away, and that will help Snake Hunters in this next engagement that's actually coming out. Kha'Zix's taking a little bit of damage. He's going to go up into the World Silence. Eye Silence goes on to Angry. Angry's going to pop the beads. Kumba thrashes Eye Silence back up. Unstable Vortex won't connect onto anybody, but Angry's trying to get away, but it won't matter. Rapio picks him up. Spuddy will pick up a Forge Coast on the back end. Through space and time was expended. So Pretty Prime trying to run away with the best of his life. That's going to be horrific. Emblem pops. Eye Silence trying to get away, but a blink from Trix Tank will stop that from happening. He's going to stop Kha'Zix from getting away. Eye Silence is going to be rooted by this Spuddio, and Spuddio gets an unofficial double, and this is exactly what you want if you're Elysium, and now this Gold Fury seems to be pretty free.
Oh, they see Prime? No, they recognize that he's just going to get away a bit too quickly. Adapting going to be the sole person coming over here to just make sure he doesn't come in for a steal attempt. Gold Fury goes the way of Elysium, but that fight had the eerily familiar start of Game 1's fights around that sort of area. There's a huge engagement. Kha'Zix comes in with the with his ultimate of his, that World Serpent, disrupts in the backline. They kill the mage. The difference this time, Snake Hunters unsuccessful in their defense of their Hunter. Vaporicos left hung out to dry, and the less safety that the Chiron brings compared to the Heimdall spoke volumes for Elysium's ability to dive onto him, pick him off, and just disrupt the rest of Snake Hunter's coordination.
Yeah, it just seemed like that. It was almost there. It almost worked out for them, but Elysium said, "Not today. We know how this game plan is. We know who you're going to target, so we're going to collapse around the people that you know that you're going to target," and that ended up working out in their favor. I Silence and Porsche Coast were the members of Snake Hunters that fell to Elysium. So now this Pyromancer is about to spawn, and that's going to probably be the next point of congestion now that the left-hand side Tier 1 has fallen for Snake Hunters. The right-hand side towers for both teams have fallen, so Tower more in favor of Snake Hunters right now just because they have that one on the left. Eye Silence just going to try to see if he can get some damage done on the Trix Tank, but Trix Tank avoiding everything. Pretty Prime going to get hit with some damage from Adapting, actually all the way down to half health as they're able to get this neutral objective. So this Pyromancer, AJ, this is definitely going to be the point of congestion for both these teams.
And so far, just grouped up a little bit better with the ward advantage is Elysium. Defensive wards coming out for Snake Hunters just to make sure they're in position to contest. But, Isilus is caught out a little bit. Oh, flying over right now is Spuddio as well as they look to try and engage onto Rapio.
Well, Kha'Zix now has been changed as the target. The World Serpent goes up. The Through Space and Time will not connect because he was able to go down into the ground just before it connected. So he's going to dash away back to the safety of his Phoenix line.
That's Pyro.
As Angry is able to pick up Eye Silence with the help of Adapting, who was in the back.
That might be fire.
That's definitely fire, AJ. That's what you don't want to see is Eye Silence getting caught out. The Fire Giant will start. Tarim and Angry trying to see if maybe they can stop Pretty Prime from doing anything. Pretty Prime doesn't have an ultimate to expend. So this Fire Giant will tick down very quickly and fall into Elysium's favor.
Oh, much better game this time around from Elysium. They have played on the front foot from the get-go and have not stopped playing on that front foot, which is a big difference from what it was in Game 2, where they let off the gas a little bit, allowed Snake Hunters to start playing the game the way they wanted to, and Snake Hunters just didn't give that sort of control back. And now it looks to be a tiny bit of a base race here. Just Tier 2 tower on the right-hand side falls. Tier 2 tower on the left could be the target call here for the boys on Snake Hunters, but everybody backing now from the side of Elysium just to spend some of the gold that they've got and gear up for an assault on this left-hand side.
Well, the mid-tier 1 tower fell for Elysium as well, so they were able to pick that up. Snake Hunters no longer had that mid-tier 1 in their favor. So now all that pressure that was around the mid lane falls in favor of Elysium. Adapting now has hit level 20, and we haven't seen a whole lot of him, but I say that as he has 3 assists and no deaths and no kills. When we talk about Adapting, we're usually saying Adapting with a triple or Adapting with a double kill that really turns the fight around, but he's just kind of been power farming, and with his build, it makes sense. He has a Blood Forge for his 5th item, AJ, something to keep him way more sustaining.
And he's got the stone-cutting sword as well to give him a little bit more protection. Definitely looking at Ice Silence, Vaporish Coast, and Rapio as the 3 targets that he's looking to take down, just so he can benefit from the fact that he's got that physical protection increase from it. Going into another Katana, I imagine this one is going to be a Serrated Edge. It's an item that's seen a lot more of a resurgence recently, with the fact that it gives a whole host of penetration, some physical power, and a good passive by getting those stacks onto it, giving you a little bit of extra physical power and lifesteal.
Well, recognizing that Pretty Prime isn't here, he's going to try to back as fast as possible. Iceon's going to dive right on into 4 people. He's going to pop the Horrific Emblem to try to slow and stop some of that damage. Cridwin will proc, but Iceon's will inevitably fall. Spudio is on a killing spree now, as Adapting is on Rapio. That Unstable Vortex won't hit, but you know what will? The Bat Out of Hell. Adapting will pick up Rapio. The World Serpent comes crashing down. He's going to try to land on Vaporish Coast. Vaporish Coast will inevitably fall once he gets out of the carry-on. That's a double kill. A triple kill for Spudio now. We were talking about him not doing too much, and now this man has a triple kill. He's on a rampage, and now they're looking at the Titan HJ. I think this is game. Pretty Prime is the only person standing. The beats and Aegis pops. The Titan is under attack. AJ, that's all. That's it. That's all she wrote. Pretty Prime about to fall as he falls through a portal, and that's a deicide for Spudio. An unofficial quadra kill as the Titan falls. Elysium picking up game 2.
Game number 1 took about 27-28 minutes. This game took about 24, so big advantage going the way of Elysium as game number 3 looms large. Unfortunately for Snake Hunters, they couldn't round it out in 2, but that's something you don't get often against Elysium. They will always push you. They will always go the distance. So, well, that game just... The difference that time was they put a leash on this Jormungandr. Kha'Zix, not the same impact that he had the last game.
No, not at all. Kha'Zix, we were so excited. Well, at least I'm going to speak for myself. I was excited to see the Jormungandr get picked up, because if they didn't get picked up, he probably would have gotten banned. So Terra making sure that the tether stayed on Kha'Zix was like, no, 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 you get to stay with me this entire time, and he's going to make sure that he keeps him in check. And then Adapting, just making sure that he had so much pressure over Rapio. Usually when I see Camazotz in my games, AJ, he doesn't necessarily beat up a Raven, but when Adapting is piloting one of his gods, that's Camazotz, and Rapio is playing Ravana, Adapting wins 9 times out of 10, so it was good to see that come back. But we did see Elysium come back, and they were definitely angry with the results of game 1.
Yeah, angry, more coordinated. They had the game plan from the get-go, just make sure that the Jormungandr couldn't rotate out early on. They put the Osiris in there to do just that, job done for Terrorim, and then the rest of the pieces of the puzzle just didn't fall into place for the Snake Hunters as the aggression just piled and piled and piled on and eventually took its toll.
Well, Elysium answered all the questions for game 2, but one question still remains. Who's going to win game 3? We'll find out after this break. And we're back. Game number 3 is on the line. The first seed and the 4th seed coming up. Elysium and Snake Hunters. I'm Fuzzy Wuzzy. Still with me is Alpha Jackal. And Alpha, a lot of questions were answered of what was going to happen with Kha'Zix on this Jormungandr in Game 2. So he wasn't able to be as prevalent as Game 1. So for Game 3, are we going to see Kha'Zix run back this Jormungandr again? Or are we just going to see, hopefully, that he picks something different?
It depends on 2 things. Nuwa and Osiris. Do they get the Nuwa, and does the Osiris get picked up again? If the answer to the first question is yes, and the second question is no, then we will see the return of Jormungandr. Otherwise, I don't think we'll see this pick again. I think we'll see them transition into something slightly different.
Well, picks and bans are ready. As we jump into them, we're definitely going to see who's going to happen, as Snake Hunters do elect to get that first pick this time because they lost in game number 2. So, as you see, the board is 1-1. AJ, we like you like always saying to us that, hey, best of 3s are best of 3s. A lot of people say best of 3s at a 1-1 state or a best of 1. This is winner take all state. I'm with you, AJ. The mental about this game in particular is definitely going to drive through, because we saw how potent a Nuwa was and a Jormungandr was in game number 1.
Yeah, for sure. If you go into a best of 1 between Snake Hunters and Elysium, do we see them banning away a Nuwa? Do we see them banning away the Chernobog this early? Do we see them banning away the Heimdall first ban last game? No, you don't do that in a best of 1. You do that because it's a reactionary ban to what happened in the previous game in the best of 3 sets. Similarly, in this final game, 1-1, the Chernobog ban here, the Ratatoskr ban, those are influenced by what happened previous in the set. So, folly to that, this is now a best of 1. It only matters the fact that this is the final game. The rest of it is still a best of 3.
Well, the Osiris was banned away, and we were asking, hey, are they going to go back to this Jormungandr? And I think Kha'Zix is saying, yeah, I think we are. As Chiron will be immediately banned out for Elysium as well. So Tiamat is open, the Lady Dragon herself. And, you know, we talk a little bit about how Tiamat is actually pretty good. And when it's piloted by Pretty Prime, I think it just gives it that extra little spice as it does get locked in for the Snake Hunters.
Yeah, it doesn't usually fit the same MO as gods that he likes to play. He likes to play gods that are a little bit less immobile but more damage-oriented. Tiamat certainly fits into the god class that's a bit more mobile, a bit more flexible around the map, more spammy abilities, and also has that resilience into that front line once she is in ground form. And also doesn't do as much damage as the traditional picks that we see Pretty Prime do take up.
Well, Himdalir and Kukulkan are locked in for Elysium, so that will make sure that Spudio and Terram have their gods locked in as we do await the next picks. And no surprise, Gilgamesh probably in the hands of Eye Silenced yet again. And I wouldn't be surprised if, actually, I'm a little surprised, we do see an On Her coming out. So the Himdalir On Her, I mean, On Her is just, I was thinking maybe, hey, we'll see the Jormungandr yet again. I was hoping, AJ, but no, instead they're gonna pick an actual ADC this time, as Terra is gonna be hovered right now. And I've really liked the resurgence of Terra coming out of the SPL and the SCC. Not a lot of people understand how good Terra is.
No, I completely agree. Terra is one of the most underrated supports in the game. She can win a team fight basically by herself with her ultimate. But to the On Her pick, I'm not surprised to see an ADC picked up in this position, because if they don't go for an ADC there, Elysium have free choice to ban away 2 ADCs that they're choosing and can force you into a really, really bad matchup in the ADC support combo. So they have to lock in at least their ADC, potentially have to lock in their dual lane just there from Snake Hunters, just to make sure that they didn't fall behind in their dual lane instantly.
Well, Kali gets banned out for Elysium, and to no surprise, Snake Hunter said, hey, we got a lot of leaps, so let's get rid of the person that pulls those leaps. So Wheelix is the one that gets banned for Snake Hunters. Daji on the flip side for Elysium, so both teams are targeting jungles, and, well, not this time. They're going to make sure that Scylla does not fall into the hands of Angry, and we do know how good Angry is with the Scylla, so it's true, no surprise there. So Elysium now get their next pick. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the mid laner right here, and it is going to be that Merlin yet again coming out for Angry. He was pretty good with it, and we didn't say his name a whole lot in game number 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it a little bit more now that Tiamat is being locked in. And with Tiamat in the round, and then you have Merlin to slow it down, and Tiamat trying to jump onto them, it's going to be detrimental. But hey, we're mixing things up. Gilgamesh will actually be in the solo lane, possibly even the jungle, because Fafnir was locked in for the Snake Hunters.
I want to see it go jungle. I do not want to see it go solo lane. I think solo lane is actually not that great for Gilgamesh, considering his best portion of the game is the early game. He can look to zone people in fights like we saw him do from the support role, but in the solo lane role, you kind of want to go to the backline as a threat to kill. You do that from the jungle, not really from the solo lane with this Gilgamesh. So Sun Wukong taken up here confirms that the Gilgamesh is going to go jungle. I like this draft. Very single target focused here from the Snake Hunters, but I think that's okay, given that the way that they've won the first game was just obliterating one target after another. Elysium, on the other hand, I think that draft just wins this game hands down. That is a terrifying draft, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, hey, I'm Terra, I'm a press 4, I'm adapting on set, I'm a press 4 and then teleport to a minion, you're all dead. Every single one of you is just dead. There's no question about it. Have fun in the gray screen. I'm gonna go take a fire giant and all of your phoenixes while I'm at it. This set pitch just rounds it out perfectly for Elysium. And Snake Hunters, we have seen this comp work in the past. They have some great picks. We can't lie about that. They've got a Gilgamesh who's the top tier. We've got a Tiamat who's very top tier in the mid lane. Sun Wukong, arguably one of the best 2, if not best 3 in the solo lane. On her, dropped a little bit because of that buff, but is still in the top 5, and Fafnir has made a resurgence as well. But I just look at Elysium and I scream, I see what they're trying to do with this team comp over here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I see this game ending in about 20 minutes, while either Snake Hunters win the game in 20 minutes, or they lose horribly to Elysium here, because Elysium's draft just screams, we have the lead, we are never going to lose this lead, good luck winning this game, we might as well press F6 now.
Well, we are going to jump into game number 3, and AJ, I will not make that bet with you. You know the game of Smite better than most everybody else, as you being a coach for one of the SCC teams here. And AJ, it seems like that if you're going to say 20 minutes is going to be the timer, I'm going to agree with you. 20 minutes, I'm going to say, yep, that's going to be it. So we are seeing a little bit of an interesting rotation from Trixchange, just placing out some wards, trying to get some vision out for this red buff, just to make sure that they can keep track of how fast they clear it. Silence will put his ward on the purple buff, so just getting some vision everywhere around. Nothing too crazy out for either of these teams, but we really have to talk about this adapting set pick, AJ. We weren't able to touch on it a little bit, but I feel like that adapting versus Rapio, set versus Gilgamesh, who just wins?
I think that matchup goes 6-4 in the way of Gilgamesh. Now that I think
Really,
about
that close?
Yeah, I think it is. It all depends on just which way round these abilities are used. If Kingslayer comes out before the dropkick is used and the leap is used, then Rapio has the opportunity to either disengage from the fight or engage again back onto adapting before he can get that skewer off. Meanwhile, adapting has to be sort of wary about where Gilgamesh is, what abilities he's used, what's up, what's down, what relics he's got, because he can start to fall foul of the aggression and the turnaround potential that Gilgamesh can offer with that dropkick.
Well, I like every support picking up Sunder. I really do. But it's not
Same.
upgraded, AJ. And that's not going to help too much. But a blink comes out as Rapio picks up First Blood and a pause at the perfect time, right when he gets to death. So Angry will fall. And I think they just broke the game. I think the man just said, hey, I'm here.
Hello?
And then just death. And then the game just froze. It was like, no, Angry, you should not have died that quickly. Like, we got to stop that for a second. But, Angry does fall to First Blood. Rapio picking it up on the Gilgamesh. Hey, that's something for the Snake Hunters to think about. That's a positive win for them, because Rapio getting a First Blood. You said Gilgamesh runs the game early, and now he is definitely able to do that.
Yeah, I also said that the game ends in about 20 minutes, and this is how you start the game off if you want to be on the winning end of the 20-minute game, is getting
Very
First
true.
Blood onto your Gilgamesh and letting your Tiamat control the lane from the early game. So it's all a good start here. Just what was Angry doing in that situation? His beads were forced as well as the fact that he did fall down for that First Blood. So Snake Hunters, given a gift, given a lifeline here in this game.
It seemed like that maybe he was trying to get that right-hand side or the right-hand side XP camp, and then he just got caught out of position. He didn't have Flicker available. He didn't really have anything available to him, so Rapio just said, hey, you don't have Flicker. You're kind of free, and just killed him. And sure enough, he does not have that upgraded, so that's going to make sure that he gets that around. But when you don't have a Flicker as Merlin and you're level 2, that just screams, kill me, I'm a free one.
That almost sounded like the little fairy that follows you around as Link. Almost like that little voice. Yeah, pretty much that. Just, hey, kill me, kill me, kill me. But no, Trixtank wishing he could get out of the situation. It does indeed avoid the hammer. Just a little side juke there. Rapio has been spotted out in the jungle, so no reason why he's still there, going to be there. Just going to back off the base now. Should have the ability to finish off his boots. Just depends on how much gold he has in hand. See exactly what he does when he backs base. Only tier 2 finished, so just a little bit of a suboptimal back. Vaporwave goes to the suboptimal situation, as is Kha'Zix. He's back to base at the time he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, he falls because Adapting had made a rotation and Terran was able to pick up the kill. So again, Adapting just helping out the solo laner. And you know, hey, when he doesn't have the World Serpent and that incredible mobility, and you know, he does have the bird form, don't get me wrong, Sun Wukong can still get out of pretty much everything. It seems to help a little bit that Adapting was over there to teleport onto him. Maybe he already used the Tiger Stun or the Ox form to try to clear the wave, and so that's why Adapting made the rotation over. But they were only able to get a kill. No real buffs came out of it because the Snake Hunters were able to get their own blue buff effectively. Trixtank is hovering around this purple buff, though. He might look for his own invade as he's going to try to hit the clap. One more couple autos will do it. As the clap comes out, they do not get it. Trixtank's going to have to dash away through, so Vaporwave Coast will be able to pick up his own purple buff.
Yeah, good secure there coming out from the voice of Snake Hunters. Trixtank should have been able to steal that there. It went down to about 115 health, just one basic attack, and then the wall clap might have secured it for Trixtank, or maybe just that little bit too little damage because he only has that boots 1, only had the walls at level 1 as well. There's so many different variations of how that fight could have gone, how that invade could have gone, because of how close it was to being a steal.
It was pretty close, and it seems like Adapting has been potted out by a ward by Pretty Prime, so he was getting pinged out to make sure that he doesn't step up any further than he needs to be. Rapio just did hit that level 5, and he's going to be able to do a little bit more damage now. He's about to get his boots upgraded. As Adapting is on this right-hand side, he's getting pinged out by Terram. Terram is actually pinging out Kha'Zix to see if maybe they can collapse on somebody, but recognizing that this is going to happen again, Kha'Zix playing a little bit more safe because he doesn't have vision, but he also knows that if I don't have vision on Adapting, he's probably coming for me.
Yeah, if you don't have vision on Adapting, assume he's around you, because chances are he knows when you're going to play aggressive, he knows when you're going to play passive, and he knows when you are gankable. It is just that sixth sense that comes with all his years of experience, and he will be in the right place at the right time 99% of the time.
I do like that little Christmas reference that you give. He sees you when you're passive. He knows when you're aggressive. He knows when he's on a ward, so you better be good or else he'll kill you, because that's exactly what Adapting can bring to the table. And he is the 2-time world champion. Adapting is AJ, and so we do know how much experience he has. And making sure that he brings this experience over with him to Trixtank, to Terram, to Angry, to Spudio, this whole team that really helps out with him and being able to do everything. So just making sure that they can play aggressive is going to be the name of the game. Pretty Prime having a little bit of struggle with that red buff, but going to be able to clear it out effectively now that the supports have made their rotation into the mid lane. Pings are coming out. Looks like that Spudio took the Bifrost back to lane, AJ, and trying to use that. So that Bifrost will be down for quite some time. He took it all the way from base to this tower line.
Yeah, that's an unavoidable situation that you sometimes find yourself with when you play Heimdall, is that you have to expend such a long cooldown just getting all the way back to lane. It's a horrible feeling, it's a feeling you don't want to feel often, but it is something you will have to do eventually. Prime feeling the pain here, but just about manages to avoid the skewer. Does he avoid Angry Stab, which gets pulled back in, but no follow-up there for Trixtank or Adapting means that Tiamat escapes just in the nick of time.
That had to be just the mitigations from her jumping into that jump form, AJ, to keep her alive. That was pretty close to being absolutely devastating for Pretty Prime. But Trixtank and Angry were able to get a little bit of damage done, but Adapting has made his rotation onto Vaporwave Coast. Vaporwave Coast doesn't quite see him yet, but now he's placed the Vision Shard. He might be able to walk around it, as he doesn't quite see it yet. As Vaporwave Coast, nope, he doesn't see it. He's going to jump away. So Adapting just spooking him a little bit. Again, doing that thing that we knew he was able to do, just being aggressive at the right place at the right time, just to give pressure to a lane. That's the MO that Adapting brings, and now they have more pressure on this left-hand side. They have easy pressure on the right-hand side. Adapting is really controlling this game, even though he's only been 1 assist a part of it.
It's just the threat that he does bring. Like I said, if you press up aggressively and he is around because you don't have wards, he will get the kill, and then the set starts to snowball. And when the set starts to snowball, he is one of the most deadly junglers to come up against, one of the most deadly gods in the game to come up against, because he just kills you, sustains through all the damage that you've done to him because of the Kingslayer ultimate sustain, and then laughs as he then decimates the rest of your team in the exact same fashion because it lasts 12 seconds for his ultimate. 12 seconds of just being basically immortal because you're ahead.
Well, adapting, Terram and Trix Tank were on this right-hand side trying to seal away this blue buff, and they do get it effectively. Trix Tank gonna elect to grab it just so that he can get the cooldowns. Throws out the heal and dashes away just to make sure that he gets out. Ice Silence not making the right rotation there. Spudio's Bifrost is back, and he got Pillar impaled by Vaporish Coast. Took a little bit of health, but nothing to worry about for Spudio. He's still just kind of farming away, doing Him-Delir things, and making sure that he stays alive. Angry is still going to just be farming away until he hits that level 12 mark, and he definitely has about a half a level over Pretty Prime, and that will help him out. But AJ, I don't know, with Angry coming into these fights, Trix Tank and Angry have to be on the same page here, because if they're not, Ice Silence and Pretty Prime have shown that they are on the same page, and they're able to get everything that they need.
Well, Terror Wars going just to stop Pretty Prime and Ice Silence taking this, but it's a 1-for-1 trade on the Oracles. Just shows how close these teams are. Look at the gold difference. It is basically non-existent. Aimits into the game 1-to-1, 1 game to 1 each, this best of 3. This is tooth and nail stuff. And well, if my prediction is going to come true, we have 12 minutes left of this game, and I don't see any one of these teams winning it in that sort of time.
Well, we will definitely see. I think one press of a button, AJ, will decide when this game goes into gas mode. As you mentioned, 8 minutes in, not really anything too crazy out of it. Kha'Zix does have a little bit of a level disadvantage, though, over Terram. And Terram elected to go into the Tainted Steel, AJ. We don't talk about Tainted Steel too much just because of the fact that it's not an item picked up unless it's someone that has healing like a Guan Yu. But why is it so important for him to have a Tainted Steel with a Sung Wukong?
If I look over on the side of Snake Hunters, what do they have? They have Ice Silenced with the Fafnir, gets a bit of sustain there. Kha'Zix has sustain in his ultimate. Rapio is going to be able to provide an AoE lifesteal field when he leaps in. Vaporish Coast going to go into some sustain with the Devourer's Gauntlets. Might even go in for an Assy himself if he goes sort of that newfangled build. So just having the option to put them down to almost 0%, just to 10% sustain, with the fact he's got Tainted Breastplate and then uses his spear just to reduce some war healing, it's going to make sure that they aren't having sustain whatsoever.
Well, massive ultimate comes out of Trix Tank, and now Pretty Prime will fall. Dangry will pick up Rapio. We wanted the gas, AJ, and we just got it. A full 4-man rotation onto the solo lane. Kha'Zix will fall to Terram. A double kill for the solo laner. 4 for the price of none. And that's going to be a massive win. Actually, excuse me, 3 for the price of none for Elysium. And this is what we wanted to see. 10 minutes in, AJ, and now we're starting to see that snowball come out.
Well, it was pretty much 4. They killed the clone, and they pretty much killed Ice Silence, so I'll call that, you know, the clone counts as a half kill on Ice Silence. So yeah, 4 for 1. Easy. There we go.
Easy.
I got you back. I got you back. Don't worry.
Perfect.
So, well, the only person that didn't really get involved in those fights were the ADCs, just having their own little battle of who can clear minions better. And my money is so far going to go to Spudio, but Vaporish Coast was the one with the pressure.
Hey, see, I like how you mentioned the ADCs. Yeah, they're just doing ADC things. We won't worry about them until the 20-minute mark. Yeah, as an ADC main, I'm not going to fight. I'm going to just be like casually farming up my lane, trying to get some pressure somewhere, making sure that, you know, trying to get some sort of stacks over my opponent. But this matchup is really close. They both like to go into the Gilded Arrow. They both are going into the same exact build. Wouldn't be surprised if we see an Executioner or a Wind Demon out of either of those two ADCs. Just seems to me, let them farm. Let them get to the point where they need to start fighting. But Vaporish Coast does have like a half-level lead over his counterpart. So will that half-level lead start showing its ugly head? Or will Elysium be able to collapse on Vaporish Coast and just absolutely obliterate him? We'll see what's going to happen.
All depends on who fires first. It's almost a Mexican standoff of whether Vaporish Coast rotates the fights before Elysium expect it, or whether the Elysium boys rotate over to this left-hand side and put a shutdown to his nonsense. And looks like it's going to be a little bit of both here as the engage starts to spill over to his right-hand side and rotating into... Oh, look, Spudio goes in?
He went in with the Bifrost as Before Ghost throws out the Desert Fury. Pre-Prime is here. He's going to try to throw out some damage. He's going to leap onto Spudio. The ultimate will come out, but Adapting's looking a little bit weak. Rapio will pick him up. Spudio also looking a little bit weak, trying to see if he can get something for it. Slowing him down with the pillar. Trying to see if maybe they can find Spudio. Angry is around just to try to give a little bit of protection. Blink comes out from Rapio. Angry has to pop the beats. He's throwing a lot of damage on the Eye Silence. Eye Silence can't do anything. And Rapio will be able to pick up Spudio. And Rapio will fall for his sins here with Trix Tank picking it up with a tick. So this is the fights that we were wanting to see out of both of these teams. Seems like a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Snake Hunters.
I'm just gobsmacked that Spudio was the one that went aggressive with that Bifrost teleport. If you do that, it's because you are going in to use your Through the Realms smack onto an opponent that's basically near the portal. You've seen that play with Pandacat before, you've seen that play with pretty much most high-level Heimdall players. They teleport a bit further forward in front of themselves just so they can close the distance and catch you off by surprise with that ultimate. But this time Spudio teleports in with a basic attack. That's about it.
That's all he could do. He just got absolutely destroyed from the amount of damage that came out of Snake Hunters, but Elysium able to pick up the Pyromancer in response. That will help their gold lead just a little bit. As now things are starting to get a little bit more intriguing, AJ. We're looking at a pretty even game when it comes to the gold difference, only about 2,000. But really, what's showing out to be really just crazy is the fact that Tarim has such a high level lead over Kha'Zix. I think we saw it was around 3 levels. So within this, he just actually hit level 12, so it's 2 levels. But with this Tarim lead, how is Tarim going to show his presence into these team fights? Does he need to start rotating now, or does he wait until he's level 17?
Wait until the bat symbol just shines it into the sky and calls for his aid. They don't need him right now. They're winning fights pretty much without him. They're doing okay. It's just when he's called into action and when the light is darkest, that's when he'll be called into action and save the day.
Yeah, and he will be able to save the day. He's done it time and time again in the SCC. We've mentioned him a lot. His name has been dropped almost weekly when it comes to it, as Kha'Zix is now getting his blue buff invaded yet again, and the beacon of light has been shined on Tarim. Kha'Zix has to Ox form away. I think that might have been a little bit of a mix-click instead of the bird form. So that blue buff will fall. Vapor's Coast has so much pressure over Spudio just because Rapio is around, and you'd ping both of them on that ward that was placed on that purple buff, maybe saying, hey, they're right around here. But no, nothing's going to really come out of it. Now the neutral experience seems to be falling in favor of Snake Hunters more and more on this left-hand side.
And Gold Fury has now spawned that the gold has been taken away by the side of Snake Hunters, so they could be lining up over here to utilize the fact that Vapor's is ahead to try and take this objective. Adapting and the rest of Elysium just having slightly other ideas, so starting to put some more manpower over on this left-hand side, and even they've done it. The bat signal has been lit, and over comes Terror from the storm. Wait, no, it's a bit of a false storm. It's gone back over to the right-hand side.
It was like turning up, right? You know, like those dimmer switches. It's at a 2 right now. It's not quite at the 10. The sigil is up there, but it's not cloudy enough to see. We're waiting for that overcast of, hey, now he needs to start rotating over. He's gonna just try to make sure that he keeps his lead on Kha'Zix for as long as he possibly can. And when this Gold Fury is gonna eventually have that fight around it, AJ, I gotta say, Vapor's Coast has to do, or not Vapor's Coast, Spudio actually has to do something a little bit different than what he has been doing. He just kind of went in and threw an auto attack and then just disappeared out of the entire fight because he died. So he needs to stay into these fights. Does he need to stick with Trix Tank? Does he try to need to stick with the backline? Like, who's gonna protect him? Because he played it so aggressively that it was just almost impossible for him to really be with anybody.
He just needs to be a bit more disciplined on if he is going to go in. He has to go in with an idea of who's around, who's nearby, who has their beats up, who can I smack into oblivion. Or do I just let the rest of my team engage? So to wait for the turn rotations, wait for a Trix Tank to blink and use that Earthen Fury to just dispersify a little bit better for him. Or just wait for Adapting to go in and murder everyone, because we know that's what Adapting wants to do.
Yeah, Adapting does want that, as he's gonna just be hovering around a Porsche Coast to see how about Spudio. But do they do this? Is this gonna be a two-man fire giant? Well, Trix Tank is around just to help out his team. I don't think anybody on Snake Hunters recognizes this, and because they have a Merlin, it's gonna get burned down so fast. They had nothing for this. They Porsche Coast burn the Desert Fury, does no damage to essentially anybody. that was a free Gold Fury for Elysium, and now this gold lead that was right around 1,000 is now getting closer to that 3,000 mark. And Adapting and the rest of the squad are still around Vapor's Coast, and I don't think he recognizes that they're there.
No, he doesn't know that they're there. He's going back in a little bit, gets his jump force, and look who's there now that everything's down. It's good old Adapt. Oh, he gets impaled into the wall. That's a good reaction play from Vapor's Coast, not to use it straight away, but to wait until the beads were down. Survives the guy, gets 2 ultimates out because of it. Does have both his relics forced, but it's a win. It is something for Vapor's Coast, the fact that he didn't die there.
Well, AJ, we have about 2 minutes and 50 seconds before your 20-minute bet made off, and I should have been a betting man. I should have. But, you know, it's still 3 minutes into the game that we have left until that 20-minute mark hits, and who knows, we could see 22. So I'll give you like a 2 to 3 minute window, because I think that's still going to be effective, because we're about to see some level 20s hit, AJ. 16s, crossing 17s across the board. Once we see that level 20 hit, I think that's going to be the determining factor, who gets there first. And in my mind, the first person that comes to his mind is Tarum. That beacon is at like a 6. He's wanting to rotate. He wants to be there for these fights. He is 3-0-1, a part of 4 of the 5 kills. Once he hits that beacon on the 10, it's all over for the rest of the Snake Hunters.
Oh, well, Adapting's hoping that that beacon's been lit up already, but it's a little too late for them Kha'Zix, and the rest of Snake Hunters find him, ambush him, and kill him in a brutal fashion, just to try and get themselves back into this and find themselves with an objective to boot. Pyromancer going to go down in favor of them unless Trixtank can stop it. No chance for them, so a bit of a win there for the boys of Snake Hunters.
Well, Trixtank is going to get dove on. Now, Kha'Zix is the backline. Trixtank's going to throw out the ultimate. Tarum is here, and Tarum picks up Rapio. Kha'Zix is now up in the cloud, and he's going to try to run away. Tarum is around, and he's going to get, actually, Kha'Zix is going to get slowed, and Angry will pick him up with the ticks from the ice. That's all because of Tarum's amount of pressure that he's able to do. That could be a free fire. Tarum's making sure that these guys don't back. Eye Silence gets rooted. Tarum now out of the transportation. He's going to just tank so much damage from this tower. But Trixtank is around trying to see if he can take the Fire Giant for as long as possible. I don't think they necessarily have the damage to do it yet, AJ. Eye Silence is around. He pops, the Sunder actually gets popped from Trixtank onto him. Trying to see if maybe he walks through the flames. He does actually do so. Trixtank is really low. He does not want to walk back through the flames, but he does so. Will he fall to it? And Elysium actually get it. Eye Silence not able to pick it up. Trixtank walking away with literal nuggets of health. And able to pick up a Fire Giant, even though Pretty Prime and Eye Silence were around. I'm actually kind of surprised they went for that.
I'm a little bit surprised as well, but you know my 20-minute prediction. So, and you said you were going to give me about 2 minutes leeway. So if we say by the time Fire Giant falls down from Elysium, the game should be over.
Yes. In an ideal world, the Fire Giant, this is the Fire Giant push that Elysium need to have. They're going to run it down in one lane somewhere. Doesn't matter where, just one lane. They're going to win a team fight, and then it's going to be over. Doesn't matter how many towers are still left, even if it's a tier 1 in mid and a tier 2 on the left-hand side, right? They should push this out. But this is, in a realistic world, Elysium have been known to play a little bit slower. So maybe it might not be this Fire Giant, might be the next Fire Giant. But we've seen Snake Hunters defend Phoenixes. I think all they have to do is just sit back at the Phoenix line. They don't want to defend tier 2s right here. I think that's just that's a no-go in the side for Snake Hunters. They need to defend tier 2s, especially since only 3 people are on this right-hand side. And Eye Silence, their support, the person that's supposed to help out Pretty Prime, is over in the mid lane. Minions are walking in, and Pretty Prime's able to clean up those minions pretty quickly as Kha'Zix's taking a little bit of poke from Angry and the rest of the squad. Adapting is in the jungle, maybe seeing if he can wait for the perfect time to jump in. Rapio walking around the jungle to see if maybe he can find his counterpart as he does start these XP camps without recognizing that Adapting's there. He does get slowed, but he does pick up that buff. He gets drop kicked, Adapting into the wall, taking a little bit more health, but nothing else really coming from it. But a blink coming up from Terra knocks up Pretty Prime and Kha'Zix. The Terra ultimates. Pretty Prime now has to run away. The beads come out, but it won't matter. Tarum is on a rampage. Tarum is weak. Tarum is running with little bits of health, but he gets shut down. But Trixtank picks him up. Adapting picks up the other one. That's going to be Vapor's Coast Falls. And someone is taking a trip all the way back down into a team fight. That's going to be Eye Silence as Spudio picks him up. Kha'Zix having to pop his beads. Adapting really weak. He's going to try to portal away to a minion. He's able to do so. Kha'Zix going to bull form away, not using that bird form. The Phoenix is going to fall. They can't end, AJ. They can't do this. This is exactly what we wanted to see. They have enough healing from the Fire Giant. They have enough healing from Terra. this is a possibility that they can do. Kha'Zix is still here just to try to be able to do something. Angry has the burn ability to be able to do. Trix Tank has the clap available. Kha'Zix is still doing some damage onto this backline. Not able to do too much though. Adapting is there. AJ, this is game in my opinion. He's trying his best, Kha'Zix, but right here is the Titan's gonna fall, and it sure does. Elysium picked up game number 3.
So they end in just shy of 22 minutes, very close to the 20-minute prediction. But you did say you were going to give me 2 minutes. I
gave you 2 minutes. You're absolutely right. We said it was that fire giant or nothing, and sure enough, they were able to pick it up with that fire giant.
So yeah, fantastic display by Elysium to finish up. That was the quickest game of the set, by the way. 27. This was 27-28 first, but this was the first game. 24 minutes was that second game, and just shy of 22 minutes was that third game. So ramping up the pace just a little bit, where Elysium building up a head of steam in this set, and it showed that last game. It looked even for most parts, but then just one team fight, and it was all Terran rotating in, doing incredible amounts of damage onto the back. That last fight, Pretty Prime was half health by the time Terran just got his first ability off.
Yeah, you were talking about the sigil needing to be lit up into the sky, and it was the hero that they needed, and sure enough, the hero came out in Terran. He was able to pick up 5 kills, 1 death, and 5 assists, a part of pretty much every single kill that Elysium was able to pick up. So Terran, definitely the MVP for game number 3. But overall, AJ, great set from both of these teams. I'm kind of surprised that the number 4 seed team put up so much of a fight, as we didn't expect it necessarily to happen. This maybe proves that they do belong into this playoff that's going to come up here in the next couple weeks.
Well, it just shows how competitive Europe is, despite the fact Elysium has gotten that 9-1 or 8-1 record so far. Sorry, it just shows how close they were to going down to 7-2, and even in previous weeks, how close they could have been going down to maybe not even confirming first seed altogether.
Well, that is going to do it for us for the EU SCC, but we have the NA SCC coming up next. Stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes.